I don't know about you, but I'm going for cake 10 out of 10 times myself. Am I right? I'm going for cake 10 out of 10 times myself. 10 out of 10 times for the cake, right? Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
And the fourth was recently selected for his degree. So as bad as it is to see them go, their future endeavors look bright. It just shows you the class of it.
Serve the people I swear to protect, to safeguard and preserve life, health and property against fire and other perils. I will dedicate myself to the saving of life, preventing and suppressing fires, and performing other duties enacted and placed upon to me. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith and trust. As a member of the Delhi Township Fire Department, I accept this self-imposed and self-enforced obligation as my responsibility and make these promises upon my honor. So help me God. Congratulations.
Dog's looking sharp tonight. What I missed, did you just get sworn in as a new firefighter? Okay, awesome. Are y'all firefighters of some sort? EMT as well? Awesome. Thank you. So it's a new firefighter that was just sworn in. Delhi does a lot of recognizing of their public employees, which I think here is a good thing. I don't always think that way.
Trustee Stearns.
Oh, congratulations. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for choosing Delhi. We look forward to watching your career blossom through the years. And I think you're working with some of the best in the field. So thank you.
Trustee Seaton.
Yes, Noah, congratulations, and understand that you've got your family and your family are all here to support you in your new venture as a paramedic and career firefighter. So thank you for saying yes to Delhi.
Yeah, it's an awesome job, Noah. I mean, 5 years of military service, preparing you, and I'm sure when that day when he went away to basic training and everything, and you as parents thinking, oh, where is this going to go? But 5 years that you stayed in and then committed yourself to firefighter, to paramedic. You're a hard worker, and I know the residents of Delhi, your incredible command staff, everyone are appreciative, as Trustee Sturt said, for saying yes, for being here in Delhi. We hope you're here for many, many more years. I especially like what you said, Chief, of service over self. I think that's exactly what it's about. Choose service over yourself and being of service to others. Again, I think we're most appreciative of you and so many others that are running into buildings that others are running out of in order to provide safety for them and to do your job. Thank you so much. Chief?
That's all I had is as far as that. Again, I can't reflect enough. We appreciate Noah joining us and serving as many years as he did part-time and sticking with us and giving us this opportunity for a full-time promotion. So thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion, Mr. Luby?
There's a
motion to accept the voluntary resignation of part-time firefighter EMT Grant M. Rui, effective April 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion is approved.
Motion to accept the voluntary resignation of part-time firefighter EMT Jonathan O. Hughes, effective March 31st, 2026.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to accept the voluntary resignation of part-time firefighter EMT Marissa L. Combs, effective April 17th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to accept the voluntary resignation of part-time firefighter EMT Andrew K. Byer, effective April 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion is approved. At this point, Chief, we're going to see if anybody wants to leave at this point before we can.
Yes, there is cake waiting at the back of the station.
We don't take it personally at this point, those you're more than welcome to stay. Be here till midnight.
I don't know about you, but I'm going for cake 10 out of 10 times myself.
I will say,
Am I right? I'm going for cake 10 out of 10 times myself.
voluntary
10 out of 10 times for the cake, right? Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to have you.
Thank you. And the
Everyone.
fourth was
How you doing, man?
recently selected for his degree
Appreciate it.
program. So
You know.
as bad as it is to see them go, their future endeavors look bright. It just shows you the class of individuals that we hire and bring in here. So.
Great. We now have a motion for hiring.
Motion for the hiring of Zachary B. McGovney as part-time firefighter EMT in the fire department at the rate of the collective bargaining agreement with the Delhi Firefighters Association upon successful completion of voice stress analysis, background check, pre-employment physical, and drug testing effective on April 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved.
Motion to approve the hiring of Thomas A. Joseph as part-time firefighter EMT in the fire department at the rate per the collective bargaining agreement with the Delhi Firefighters Association upon successful completion of voice stress analysis, background check, pre-employment physical, and drug testing effective on April 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved. Department updates, Chief.
Yes, I'll just quickly kind of go over March incidents. But as you can see, we're on pace. 1,100 runs already this year, so we're on pace for 2025. And again, that response time holding steady from the time of the 911 call to on scene, 5 minutes, 34 seconds on average. One thing I wanted to take time to talk to the board about, and certainly the community, if they're not already aware, we do have a ballot initiative for additional funds levied for fire operations in this primary election. I think one of the things that's hardest for me to relate, having spent nearly 30 years, in November it'll be 30 years in this community, one of the hardest things to relate is what I see budgetarily, helping people understand how the finances work, and I really don't want to talk over people's heads. I want to keep it simple, but I know when you throw around millage, you throw around million, people get confused. The numbers really don't add up. So what I was trying to do tonight is offer a simplified version of how we got here and give an idea of what's going on. So the best way to explain it is when insufficient revenue happens, it's a call to review expenses. So what I've presented to the board here is an example of what we've seen over the last few years. This is 2020 and our projection out to 2030. And what the board notices is that light green expense chart just shows that steady climb. It doesn't look crazy. It's kind of following a normal trend line. It meets what we have in current expectations. The red or orange line below it, you see it represents the revenue that's coming in. And other than when a levy is approved and additional funds come in, you notice that stays fairly flat all the way across. So you have expenses going up and you have revenue staying flat. And you definitely can see the increase between 2023, 2024. That was the first year of the levy that was passed last. It did not get us to the expenses, just under. And so for the last 3 years, if you follow that chart all the way to 2026, you can see at the end of the year, that deficit, that appears to be almost $1 million difference between the revenue that's coming in and the expenses projected to go out. If it continues along that path, you can see as as our expenses increase, the revenue does not change without additional funds, and that gap gets wider and wider and wider. When you're further from your expense point, it's harder to make up those funds. So this is where we're at in 2026. So just like any household, fire department takes it upon itself to look at that insufficient revenue and look at expenses. Things that we've been taking into account is reviewing the fire operation. Are there areas that we experience remarkable increases in expenses? Well, of course. It's been health insurance, workers' comp, utilities, and fuel. We've seen all those go up. And we have inflationary expenses with the equipment. We used to be able to outfit a firefighter with structural gear, probably, I want to say 21, 22, probably just under 3,000. Now we're looking at nearly 5,000, just for the bunker gear they need for their core mission. SCBAs run around 11, 12,000. These are tools that they need to do the job, to keep up with technology and things like that. So we are facing so many of those, increases. I don't set the limit. Basically, it's told to me what the healthcare is going to cost based on the number of people in my organization that have healthcare. I don't have any control over that, nor does the township. You go out and shop for the best price. So when I'm looking at expenses and things are what we change with our operation, I certainly start with the areas of what's happening. Attempt to lock in multi-year contracts and service agreements, but I'll tell you flat out, most people want to hold 3 years because they know if we can get out to 5 and we know what the price is, we have a better projection ratio. But any IT contract, any service agreement, they want more money because they are feeling a pinch and they're creating it on us. So it is passed on to us in a lot of these ways. Do we shop for the best price? Absolutely. Nothing more frustrating to deal with some of these increases, especially in certain instances where there are services the fire department needs, in terms of our software and things. So the inflationary cost is a big part of it. Are there areas in the operational cost that can be reduced by modifying the operation? Well, certainly. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. There are ways to change our operation. We've already done that. We don't drive a fire truck to every medical call like the city of Cincinnati and Green Township. We also don't realize that's wear and tear on our vehicles. We try to outfit the additional manpower in a chase vehicle. An F-150 uses far less fuel, far less maintenance than a pumper. But will we have to roll a pumper from time to time to back up and provide manpower or rescue? Absolutely. We're not afraid to do that to get the resources to the scene. But when we are faced with daily station staffing, that one call, because of the staffing, takes us out for a medical call. No one's in the station because that's what we staff, cross-staff. They could hop on a fire truck or an EMS call, one or the other. It's first call, first serve. That's how it works. And when we're at our lowest manpower, we don't have the option to have crews left back. It's other stations that are picking up the slack, which increase response times and things like that. So I will say we have gone as far as we possibly could to run a lean operation and still get the response times and the service calls that we are. Then obviously, are there capital needs that can be put off to later? I'll explain this a little bit further, but in general sense, when you're talking capital funds in 1% of your annual budget, it doesn't make up a lot of ground. $1 million deficit in spending this year based on expenses and things. So I want to ask the board, when it comes to what our feasibility is to get that additional revenue, we know the expenses are going up and the revenue is not coming up except for many options. How do we come to that? Well, legally, if Chief Braun decided, hey, I've got funds in the police account, I can save you for a year or two, nothing will do that. He can't legally transfer funds from a voted levy. We don't have that option. There's no one that's going to bail us out from these other levied funds. Same with parks, roads, and things like that. So there's no opportunity there. Can the township levy an income tax? No. You don't have that option. State of Ohio has seen to it that you don't have that option. Sales tax? Could you guys levy a sales tax to help us out financially? No. And the state of Ohio, again, regulates that. So property tax happens to be our only outlet. And who provides us that? It's done through levies. It's done through voter approval. There has been a lot of chatter in the state of Ohio on the future of property taxes. I know that's on everybody's mind. I know property taxes are not a fun thing to pay. They only seem like they're getting higher. But there are numbers to state with the amount of revenue if property taxes go away. Townships don't have the option for an income tax or a sales tax, so what are we left with? Nothing. No revenue generation. We have what we have. So if it's repealed, how do we make up the funds? Well, the state of Ohio said right now, the closest thing they can come up to is a fixed 10% income tax across the board for the entire state. $23 billion is a lot to make up. That also is trusting the state that Delhi Township would get the money back. Sales tax could be upwards of 20% across the board. Would anybody think of buying anything in the state of Ohio at a 20% sales tax? The idea that property taxes serve the community and are paid for by the community it serves. It comes full circle. This isn't an argument. I'm not taking the schools to task. I'm not taking any other levies to task. We all have services to provide. And I know that we are an easy target because we're up first to the box. When we look at decreasing, or I want to touch on the additional levies. So I've decided to put up for you 2005 to 2023. Those are the last 4 levies before this one that we've put on. You see the 2.99 in 2005, which reopened the 2 firehouses and returned staffing. 2013, we were able to float a smaller millage and get us through to 2015 or 2018. And then in 2018, that 3.45 allowed us to hire 3 additional full-time people for that life of the levy. We needed it. I mean, that, and the citizens saw that. And it allowed us to expand our staffing and get back. 2023, what happened in May of 2023? Voters approved a 2.99 levy for law enforcement. We were up next. We were up in fall. Looking at what options we had, people say, well, why didn't you ask for more? In light of the context of 2023, our voters had already passed a levy. We recognized 2 levies in 1 year for public safety. That can break some backs. The idea that we also needed to get off cycle. It wasn't going to serve this township if police and fire came up every year, being the 2 biggest services that have to be funded. I think it was a smart decision. I appreciate the board's decision to do that way, but that's how it had to be done. Did it come with consequences to our funding? Yes. I just showed you from 23 or 24, 25, and now 26, we will not meet the revenue we need to stay fully funded. But here we are, 2026. Like we said, in 2023, it was going to last for 3 years. It lasted for 3 years. This is an additional fund. They all are additional fund requests. We do not have any expiring levies. So I think part of the thought that people have of, we give you this additional levy, the 1 and 2, 2018 and 2023, where did it all go? It was just enough to kind of keep us balanced for the last 3 years. 2018 levy that started in 2019 actually had revenue above our expenditures for those first 2.5 years. And then the carryover from those 2 years we were able to fund. And I think that's a lot of things people don't understand. Why do you have to drive the revenue high enough? Well, it's because we're paying off of debt carryover for the remaining years. When we did this last 3-year levy, we didn't have that buffer. We were already in deficit when we started the levy. That's very unusual. Again, out of respect for the taxpayers. So when we look at decreasing expenses, we do it in order of capital. I will cut loose any equipment that doesn't necessarily need to be repaired, vehicles, things, hold it off to the last minute. But I showed you, 1% is covered under capital expenditure. It's not exposed much. Operationally, we're only about 13% to keep the lights on and the stations open. That leaves one big chunk of the budget that is highly susceptible to cuts, and that's personnel. Laying off firefighters and paramedics is the last resort. When you look at decreasing expenses, because personnel make up 85% of the total budget, it presents the most likely source of significant expense decreases. The service, personnel, staff, they maintain and keep in a state of readiness stations and apparatus. It's not manned by robots, it's not manned by AI, it's the people in those stations that maintain that. Personnel perform essential tasks on the fire ground. They rescue, CPR, defibrillation, medication administration, again, conducted by personnel. It's the people doing the tasks. So what impact when it's less people? It's a decrease in service. When you don't have enough personnel to staff stations and apparatus, we go into a stage where it's a brownout. It's not a full closure. It's just we don't have enough people to spread out in a township to safely cover it. When you have those instances, those are what we've experienced in the past. Brownouts, they cause an increase in response time because based on where that call is in location to a closed or browned out station, that increases response times from another station or mutual aid. Not enough personnel to perform those essential tasks. It takes longer to perform those tasks. We always kind of talk about fire grows exponentially. So it doubles in size every minute. The longer it takes there, the bigger it will grow. The more endangering it is to victims. Brain death occurs in 4 to 6 minutes. We are under a time constraint to respond appropriately with the resources and get it done. With less resources on the scene, those tasks take longer. There's a reason why we've set up this way. We're going to hop in our time machine. This is something that I've offered and I've shared on our website. You can source it. Back in 2010, I did an annual 10-year trend report to give an idea of what exactly happened. So Delhi is unfortunate in the fact that we have failed the levy and we have closed stations. And I think a lot of times people take this expose as a challenge to their intelligence or fear-mongering or a threat. What I'll say in this instance is I'm just going to show and share with you what did happen. So the first thing I'd like to show is the daily staffing. That dip you see there, that's what occurred when personnel were laid off and stations closed in 2005. Those two amounts, those two increases, both in EMS and fire response, that's a reflection of what our response times did in 2005 because we were running with few people and stations closed. This is no joke. This is definitely something that people need to understand. It has a cost. Without the additional revenue, these things could happen. We can show you what happened in 2005. Look at fire loss. I told you it takes more time to get there. The fire grows and it takes more people to do the job. Now, the second peak, I left it in there, that was Jiffy Lube. kind of throws off the stats. But by comparison, that was a large property and whatnot. We did have the staffing, but nothing compares to the fire loss at that point in time. And it takes a while to come back from that. Share with the board some of the quotes from citizens. This was March 14th in 2005. You know, on Monday, someone from Delhi Township Fire Department called in sick. Another person had a family issue, so neither could come to work. While they could be regular day anywhere else, here it reduces staff size by almost a third, leaving just 4 personnel on duty. Quote, if they cut down to that many, I don't know. I guess we're just gonna have to pray a lot. That was Don Thompson, Delhi resident. The budget goes until the end of the year, and quite frankly, they never should have waited so long to put levies on to begin with. Now more than ever, Delhi will have to rely on mutual aid for other departments, and that worries people like Chuck Melvin, who think it could lead to a tragedy. It's a shame that a tragedy of some sort, whether it's death or somebody's house burning down, a Delhi resident says, the stations could have been saved if some smaller levies were passed several years ago. If you don't all remember the criticisms that we received going into 2005, this reflects post-station closure sentiments. Oh my God, what did we do? There had to be another way. And so giving the fire department a chance, we are passing levies on a more regular basis. We are floating as much as we possibly can, realizing that the service is important and the community matters most. This is who benefits from it. So here we are, 20 years later. This is one question I hope we never have to answer. But if cutting personnel caused this much problem and an impact 20 years ago, what kind of impact do you think it would cause when we have an additional 2,000 emergency calls? It scares me. I worry about how to operate in this community. I'm thinking of the community first. And one of the things we take for granted is just, well, I want to take that back. I don't want to take the taxpayer for granted. I want them to realize that what they invest, their return on investment, they can see in the service they get. If a person has a complaint about their professionalism, that we are overstaffed, or that our response times are too high, or we don't put out fires in a timely fashion, I can address those things as a service representative. And I have addressed those things. Our firefighters have stood up to that challenge that I've given them for the last 10 years. Take care of the community, they will take care of you. The idea that people aren't complaining about our service. I'm sure there's some people here and there that feels like it should have been better. But ideally, is that what this community is up against? I recognize it's a tax. I recognize we are asking for more funds. It's not a matter of affording it. Can we afford not to? That's the reality of this question. So it's not fear-mongering to show you what happened in 2005. We lived through it. We experienced it. I don't want to see it come to that again. We have looked at every aspect of cutting this down, and short of people, there is no money to cut. I have given you every option. Property tax is it. We have our hands tied. So I would entertain any questions from the board.
Trustee Sturts.
No, you presented as well as you can. Tell them what you're up against, what they're up against, what we're up against, and don't know what more you can do, just get the word out there and we're hoping to spread it.
Thank you.
Trustee Seeley.
Chief, thank you for your passionate commitment to getting this done, because that mirrors the fact that you talk about the community and taking care of the community and expecting that the community will take care of you. You know, I started with Delhi Township involvement right before 2005 as a member of the Financial Advisory Board. So I'm pretty familiar from back then to today how our spending and how our budgeting has proceeded. And I think the biggest thing that you and I had talked about was every expense that was controllable by this fire department was controlled within the budget parameters. But medical expense and equipment expense to protect our men and ladies is not in our control. So, if you like the fact that we can have a squad, a truck, base mobile, whatever it takes to help you within that 5 seconds to respond, let me tell you, from somebody who stood last December with a friend in terrible pain, waiting for 21 minutes for a Cincinnati fire response. We are so blessed to have a 5-second response room. You have no idea until you're standing there with a loved one or a friend who's in excruciating pain and you're helpless. So hopefully the community understands. I hope that they keep their questions back to you or back to one of us, and let's address them and understand that you've got the best. Keep it.
Chief, I appreciate your presentation, and obviously I thought it was not funny but interesting that someone a couple of weeks ago said they've heard nothing about the levy, and of course we were just coming to the end of the month of March and getting things out there, and there's always information that's circulating out there. And I think the important thing is that you get the correct information, and I appreciate you saying, and people need to hear this, it's not a scare tactic, it's not a bluff. I know people always go back, oh, kills, 30 years ago, oh, kills. And this is not that. We don't play that game, none of us ever have. I found it interesting by looking at your numbers and such, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've had since 2005, all the way up to 2025, 4 levies?
Correct.
So those levies averaging over 5 years, yeah?
The last one was 3 years. All the previous ones before that were 5 years.
Right, but over the course of 21 years, basically, it's been 4 levies.
Yes.
And with that, based off of your presentation and looking at the numbers, looking at healthcare, and looking at all of that, which we all know, because anyone within the sound of our voice can all say, yeah, all of our numbers are going up. All of us are putting more out. And you do have to then prioritize, okay? We only have so much income in our pot each month that can go out. So when the question of, can we afford it, can you afford not to, there are many in the community that would say, we can't because we're on fixed income, fixed rent, and we get that. It's not like we're minimizing that at all. We completely get that. It's understood. But again, it's a matter of getting the information out and making sure that people have that. And there was something that came online, which, dare I even go there, but I'm going to ask you about it. Because when people become the keyboard warriors out there and present stuff, which is always interesting, which I have to figure out how that works on Facebook. Maybe Chris could answer that, how people can go on with anonymous names, The one, I don't know, was named Jerry, Curly, whatever that. I guess it's humorous and things. We're just trying to fire up a community, but just get the information. The bottom line is, we present the information, people, it's your levy. If you want the level of safety that we've experienced, and we don't want to become a city of Cincinnati, and it's not slamming them, it's that they are going off of what they have to go off of. We like someone being able at our door in less than 5 minutes, especially if you've got someone next to you that's not breathing, if you've ever had that experience. So we present the facts. So to go out and argue with this or that, no. Do you want it? Can you afford it? We obviously have the need for it. There's no doubt about that. It hasn't been abusive, hasn't been reckless spending. Everything has gone through, everything is, you're at that point. And some say, well, we just passed one in 2023. Yes, 24, 25, 26. You pass it now, it doesn't come in until 27, which is when you would need that. And that's an important part for people to understand. this money doesn't even come in until next year. So budgeted as we are now, which is tight, and that's why you sit there and try to go and get the information out, and here's where we are. So there was a lot of time that went into that presentation. I hope people watch the meeting. If questions, call any of the chiefs. Call Skylar, your administrator. Call the trustees. Anytime we are here, 922-3111, ask to talk with us. Going online, trying to get someone to say, hey, anyone have any idea what that? Don't do that. Come here and get the source. Right to it. Did I miss anything? It just gets so frustrating. It really does. I mean, like I said, whether you pass or not, but at least have correct information, accurate information.
And I think just because you don't see us out there in the streets fighting fire every day, you don't hear the sirens everywhere where you're at, doesn't mean we're called. To put it in perspective, we have one call less than every 2 hours, every single day. You know, we're averaging 13 calls a day. I mean, it's happening whether you see it or not. Holidays, weekends, all hours of the night. The service doesn't stop. That's what you're paying for. There's no time to wait for somebody to come from home, get suited up, get in the truck, and out on the road. That's not how Delhi does business. We've learned that. And the investment in our people, then you don't get your fire certification or your paramedic and then you're done for life. Every year you have continuing ed and certificates you have to maintain. Those are investments that the township makes in our people. Those are what you would think were discretionary spending, but they're not. There's nothing discretionary about our personnel.
Yeah, it's the price of safety. You're going to get that. It's like that in any fire.
Absolutely.
This person put something out, and I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to ask you when we saw you. Okay, the firefighters want a new levy. It's not the firefighters want a new levy. It's a matter of service. But anyway, the important takeaway is that they spent operational dollars on capital expenses instead of TIF funds. Can you make any sense out of that?
The only thing I can think they can think of is we have been in the process of replacing our fleet trucks, which are F-150s, Explorers, since 2018. As trucks get to be, we just sold one last year. It was a 2011. We can't hang on to our vehicles for a long time. The only thing I've not come to the board for are those staff vehicles. Again, you're only looking at 1% of our budget is that capital expenditure. So yes, we have replaced out of operational funds a pickup truck here and there, chase vehicle, staff vehicle, just a normal fleet. But like I've expressed to the board publicly on many occasions, you've never withheld a capital expense when it comes to fire trucks, ladder trucks, you name it. I've come to you. This year you're paying $80,000 to help concrete get repaired at my fire facilities out of TIF funds, because that is how hard up we are budgetarily. That is a capital expenditure you are taking on for me. But when you're talking about 1%,
Right.
does it change it?
Yeah. And the second part was why? Because the administration, Skylar, you spent all of it on DTS and Viridian. Is that what you did with it?
We didn't spend a single dime of fire funds on DTS.
Thank you. Will you say that one more time?
We did not spend a single dime out of fire or EMS funds on DTS.
That's my point. I don't care. I do care if you vote or not for the levy, but have the accurate information. And when you have stuff like that out there, it just makes no sense. It doesn't help anything. Like I said, you know, we know that some cannot afford it because of fixed incomes and everything. We get that, completely get it. But again, it comes down to what's the priority. But again, there's no bluffing, we know what's here. The numbers aren't there. It's just like in any other household. If you get bills that can't be paid, well, then you know what happens. So, thank you. Thank you.
Just to kind of add on to what the board has said, Doug, any time that the township goes for a levy or departments go for a levy, this isn't an easy process. This is not something that we enjoy. We know that everyone is dealing with increased costs. We're feeling, we're paying those increased costs as well, as far as our compensation, our fuel, our utilities. You know, there's a cost to being able to provide you with the best safety services possible. And I think Doug's chart laid it out very well as far as showing, you know, the revenue and the expenses. You know, the way levies work, we have to collect levies to cover expenses for the next 3, 4, 5 years. We are not a private business where we can go out and increase our prices every year. Just can't do it. Like I said, no sales tax, no income tax. We project out, and you know, our department heads do an excellent job knowing their budgets. So being able to, you know, project out, you know, 5 years, 6 years out, you know, there's a lot of private businesses that can't do that. Trust me, I've seen it. So you guys do an excellent job of knowing your budgets and projecting your expenses. And one other thing as far as, you know, transparency. I mean, we knew, like I said, 3 years, we knew that this was a 3-year levy. 1.99, kept it low to get us by, bottom line. I mean, there's no secret, we've mentioned it several times, you know, over the years in various meetings. So again, we try to be as transparent as possible, letting folks know. And again, you know, get it out from behind that keyboard. If you guys have questions, like I said, call the fire department, call the chief, call the board, call myself, call Scott. We're more than happy to sit down and go through the financials and answer any questions that you may have. You know, with personnel being the largest portion of our budget, it's 85%. And if you look at, you know, I think you guys do an excellent job recruiting the best talent out there. And if you look at our compensation, correct me if I'm wrong, we're not at the bottom, we're not at the top, you know, we're right below that top. We try to, you know, get the best talent we can for the most, you know, for the best dollar.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and that's what they've always strived to be. Is they didn't necessarily want top. They understand what it's like to serve in this community, and that was never an important thing. But to be competitive, to retain people, you have to be in the market, and I think that's what Delhi has done an excellent job over the years. You know, I remember 2006 and 2005, we were trying to call back people that we had laid off, and a lot of them never returned. And I look at the amount of investment that we've had in our personnel training and experience, and you just saw 4 part-time people with very little experience get called up. What if it was our firefighters out there? Would we ever get them back? Walk that investment out the door? I think that disheartens me because I know how much we've invested in them. And we're silly to think there isn't another community out there that wouldn't want what we have. Absolutely, absolutely. We keep that in mind.
Trustee Sturts.
Yes, thank you, Drew. Another comment that I'm sure all of us have heard is about their retirement fund. Their, you know, what's the word I'm using for Doug?
Pension.
Pension, thank you, that's the word I was looking for, the pension, and how it's exorbitant, or whatever the word was. That's state mandated. You know, we have to have a pension fund for them. So that's included as part of their compensation. Just like if you work for a company and they have a pension fund, you're in it, okay? So it's state mandated. It's not something that they put in a contract saying that they demanded having, ladies and gentlemen. So when it comes to that,
Yeah.
it's a requirement.
The employee pays 12%,
Right.
and the employer pays 24%. But it's under state mandate. If you have a